A jury trial is due to begin in California very shortly that could reshape how billions of us use social media.
It's being called the largest consumer protection lawsuit in American history, bigger than cases brought against big tobacco more than 2 decades ago.
It's going to be massive if indeed this goes through, and it's going to have a huge impact on the company.
The clear distinction here with this lawsuit and with the other lawsuits, thousands of them in fact that are being brought in the US at the moment, that Meta and other tech companies knowingly profited from harm.
It would mean perhaps that social media becomes a little more boring for lots of us, which might make us feel a little bit better because actually we might not be trapped in those loops quite so often.
There should be an end to the scroll, but also I don't know if it would really work.
I think more controls would definitely make it better.
I think the main takeaway from this trial is that US states are saying that we need to regulate or change the design of these platforms and not just the content that we see.
So this is a major social media trial that is taking place in the United States. The tech giant Meta is accused of deliberately designing some of its platforms to be addictive to its young users. Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, is also accused of misleading the public. Meta strongly denies the claims, which it called unsubstantiated. They said the evidence will show their long-standing commitment to supporting young people. But if they lose, the trial could cost the company hundreds of billions of dollars. Joining me is our senior technology reporter, Chris Valens. Chris, why is this trial taking place?
Well, I think around the world we've seen growing concern about the impact of social media on children, and that has certainly been a very active and in many cases bipartisan debate in the US. In this case, what we're seeing is, in a sense, a sort of a new high watermark in that challenge as it goes through the courts, with 29 US states involved in this legal action, which effectively says that Meta's product was, if you like, faulty by design. There were features in it that were designed to be addictive and were harmful to the company's most vulnerable users, in this case, children. These are of course claims that Meta strongly denies and will fight strongly in court.
Well, the trial stems from a lawsuit filed in 2023. Dozens of US states filed the federal lawsuit. They allege that Meta incorporated harmful features on Instagram and Facebook to drive engagement among young users, to boost profits, and then misled the public about it. This trial, which is set to last for 6 weeks, features 4 of those US states as plaintiffs. So that's California, Colorado, Kentucky and New Jersey. They want Meta to change the algorithms and to end autoplay. We'll have more on that shortly. But this isn't the first trial against social media companies. Our technology correspondent, Lily Jamali, explains.
A high-profile trial in Los Angeles this year, where a jury granted a 20-year-old California woman $6 million on claims Instagram and Google's YouTube harmed her mental health. And in New Mexico, the Attorney General recently convinced a jury Meta deliberately endangered children, prompting nearly $1 billion in fines. Meta is appealing, but a judge has ordered more rigorous age rules and a stop to overnight push notifications for users under 18.
Chris is still with us. Chris, there have been other lawsuits that Meta have faced. What makes this one different?
Well, I mean, this comes less than 2 weeks after one of those lawsuits in which a court in New Mexico, the judge there described the platform, the company's products as, if you like, a public nuisance, like air pollution. I think with this case, you've got a similar kind of logic. It's a product safety issue, if you like, but the stakes are so much higher. I mean, Meta is trying to claim that the potential costs, the potential fines could run to $1.4 trillion. The attorney generals, the states, put that at a much lower figure, $200 billion. But either way, the changes to the platform and the potential fines mean that even if it's not an existential issue, it's likely to change the company, and if it loses.
This is a case that involves US states, but it's worth saying that countries have also tried to legislate against these social media companies. Let's take you through some of them. In December 2025, Australia became the world's first country to ban social media for children under 16, blocking them from platforms including TikTok, YouTube and Meta's Instagram and Facebook. In June of this year, the then Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, announced plans to approve a ban on social media for under 16s here in the UK. By Christmas, with the measure set to take effect around spring 2027. In the same month, Canada proposed a social media ban for children and teenagers under the age of 16, with a workaround for tech firms. They have to demonstrate that they have policies in place to minimise harms to minors. In August, France's top court blocked a bill banning social media access for under 15s, saying it infringed upon freedom of expression. France's parliament had approved the ban in July amid growing concerns about online bullying and mental health risks. Chris, why are some countries bringing in these bans, do you think?
Well, again, I think it really follows from this concern and the degree of popular concern that there is about the impact of these platforms on child's well-being, on children's well-being. I think the interesting question is we're seeing these bans brought into force around the world. They're very different in flavour in many cases. There are a lot of unanswered questions. And in some respects, the best evidence for whether these bans work or not will be the bans themselves. So there's certainly a widespread global move in this direction.
And do you think they are effective?
I think from what we see, they certainly do result in the removal of hundreds of thousands of accounts from children. But the evidence from the first place to sort of introduce one of these bans, Australia, is that there's also quite a degree of circumvention. Now, you know, as I've said, it's a work in progress, and there are different approaches and different standards, different strengths of rule, if you like. But that's certainly going to be a question of the effectiveness of all this, given that it does deprive children of something that they find in many cases valuable and rewarding.
Well, if Meta loses, it could force fundamental changes to the way young people experience social media. Our reporter Ben Henley has been looking at that.
The states want changes to some fundamental features on Facebook and Instagram, like stories and like counts. And they want changes to the algorithm to see an end to infinite scrolling.
What's your sort of screen time in an average week, would you say?
In a week? It's probably like 6 hours a day.
Yeah, I like stories because I like that they're not up there forever. There should be an end to the scroll, but also I don't know if it would really work. I feel like people would find something else, because then you've got TikTok and like other things would just introduce the scroll. I can't think of one thing that it's good for.
I think more controls would definitely make it better, because like when it comes to me, I've always been on social media for a very long time, but I recently started realizing how much of myself I'm putting out there.
A lot of my friends have also kind of like stopped using Instagram so much because it was kind of like taking over their lives. It's been a kind of conscious decision, I think, to kind of like wind down that sort of interaction.
Right now, this case is just in the US, but its outcome will likely have ramifications around the world.
Thanks to Ben. We'll have to see how this case unfolds, of course. But Chris, how likely do you think it is that Meta might want to get rid of some of these features to avoid further lawsuits?
I think we've seen incremental changes from Meta as indeed this debate has continued, and they can point to a whole bunch of things they've done across their platforms to improve child safety and to improve parental controls. But on the other hand, what this lawsuit is asking are changes to things that are really quite fundamental to the way social media businesses work. I mean, changes potentially to the algorithm, to likes, to the way video works. These are all things that, in a sense, help the businesses make money. So I suspect we may see some movement, but I think other changes that this legislation, this court case proposes, they may be harder for social media firms to swallow.
Chris Vallance, thank you for your insight. And that is all you need to know. about the Meta trial.